Welcome to the first episode of our brand new series, Women in Finance, Funhouse Edition, where we speak to women who are not only capable of managing their own money, they are also managing yours. Here with me today is Joyce Tan. Hi Joyce, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Joyce. I'm Head of Fixed Income Asia Singapore with UOB Asset Management.
Before we go into all the specific questions that we have about gender and the role that it plays in the finance industry, maybe we can learn a little bit more about you. So why finance and why did you choose to work in finance?
My job is very interesting, right? Every day you wake up to different things and things are changing over time. So during COVID, we were thinking about studying the pandemic the last 100 years. But after that, recently, of course, what's engulfing the whole entire market discussion is ESG. So just yesterday, I was watching some ESG-related movie, trying to figure out what's all this discussion about. And of course, recently, we are from low interest rate to currently, we are fighting inflation and wondering where rates is going to go. So it's always changing, so it's certainly very fantastic for me.
Yep. I always thought that maybe it would just be looking at numbers every day, no?
No, in fact, beyond numbers, we always gather different knowledge at different point of time. And for me, I like to explore different knowledge. Every now and then, I will have a different season. Recently, I got into this thing about slow running to run fast.
Slow running to run fast.
Yeah. So it's something that is always so I'm always looking out for new things that I can feed myself with. So yeah, you basically nothing is repeated in my single day every day. So it's kind of exciting.
But is that why I'm just curious, before you actually even started your career in finance, right? Was it always something that you wanted to do?
Maybe in a way, maybe some sob story. I live in a 2-room rental flat with my family and can see how things are difficult. So money certainly was very useful then. So that kept me interested. And I suppose I also like to see things grow. So I like to save. I like to see, during my time, $10 is quite a lot. Of course, now it's nothing much. So every now and then I'll save every $10. So every $10 is like a milestone for me. So I get very delighted. So I do, not that I like money. Certainly money is great. But I do enjoy seeing things grow and develop over time.
The best thing to see growing is your money.
And everyone else's money that I'm helping to manage. Yeah.
Right. Oh yes. Okay. We are going to go into that soon. Right. Is it okay? So just to maybe steer the conversation into the whole gender thing that we are here for today. Did you ever in the course of getting into your career in finance, did you ever feel like gender was stopping you, your identity as a female? Was it ever stopping you from entering the industry?
I think somehow in my growing up years, I don't really have that impression. I think more of feeling, I think during school time, I was taking finance as my major, taking economics as my minor. So during school time, the only discretion that the difference between men and women comes out as a topic was when I was taking economics. I was told that somehow in the faculty they will prefer guys over women, thinking that guys are more rational. Maybe to some extent I may certainly agree to some extent, so I take it as that. That's why I took economics as my minor rather than major. So I never thought that entering to finance was something that is in favor of any gender.
Interesting, because I majored in economics and I'm a girl. So yeah. I don't think I feel that I have not heard of that before.
Maybe different era,
maybe.
Different generation.
Yeah. But for sure in my faculty there are more guys than girls. Okay, so how about just now you mentioned that you felt that there's a little bit of truth to guys maybe being a bit more rational as compared to females. So we are going to play a little bit of a game, a more true or false game. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a stereotype about women and then you try to maybe say yes or no. And you can give a little bit of explanation as well.
Okay.
So the first one, women are organized and detail-oriented, making them better at managing money compared to men. So is that true or false?
I would say so. My immediate thought is when I was young, we're supposed to bring this team to go for donation, asking for donation. I always look up. After a while, you get used to it. And for me, I will always go to the guy. Somehow they didn't really think much about letting go that little change, that few dollar that they have. They tend to be easier. Compared to lady, when you give them the thing, they will like look at you, analyze a bit more, wonder what you are doing. They may eventually put in the money, but certainly take a longer time. So more efficient, easier hit when I approach the guy. So I think, yes, to this question. In terms of money managing on the overall scale, I think women will be better. I think they'll guard their money better.
Right, okay. So then actually that kind of ties in with the part where you're saying maybe men are more rational. Okay. So not too, they are more rational in a sense that they don't really let their feelings kind of overcome their rational thinking. Right, okay, interesting. Okay, we move on to the next point. Women are better investors than men. Do you agree with that?
I hope I don't offend the women who are investing, and also I'm a woman who is doing investing. I like to say no to that. I think following up on that first question is the emotional part that women tend to let go in that sense, the part that they are more vulnerable when it comes to emotion. So, and that I find in myself as well. So when we look at certain instances, we tend to look at other aspects beside the rational part of it. I read somewhere that guys are more compartmentalized, so they deal one issue with another issue separately. So even if they lose money in one deal, they'll say, okay, get on, next one, they'll go to another box and redo it again. So without any recurring feelings from the other box that they are that they are just experiencing.
So I guess they are kind of less attached to maybe money that they have lost or they have earned from investing in something.
It is the emotional attachment, remembering things. Girls are very good at remembering things.
Right, okay. Yes, for sure, we are better at remembering things. We always have the receipts ready. That's quite interesting because I do notice also, I guess when it comes to cryptocurrency, for example, something very new, right? Usually there's the term crypto bros, but there's no crypto sisters. So true. I have also noticed that maybe when correct, especially when there's something new, maybe the people who are the first to jump on board usually are the men, as compared to females who might take a step back first to see whether is it risky before they go ahead. So I guess in a sense, maybe we can't say for sure that women are better or women are not as good at investing as compared to men. The traits for each gender, I mean, stereotypically they are different, so I guess they have different strengths, right? Okay, we move on to the next one. Women think long term, while men are more likely to think short term.
I would say yes to it. I suppose I relate it for my husband when we are deciding on kid stuff or money stuff. I suppose guys, if you present to them an issue, they just want to settle it. They will just, okay, get it done, settle it, maybe put a plaster or whatever, just get on with it. But for women, they tend to look at it on a holistic approach. Okay, what's the issue now? And will it recur again? To prevent it from recurring, then where's the root of the issue? And if I solve it now, how would that prevent it from coming back again? So by thinking in a more holistic manner, you tend to think longer term and with a wider perspective.
So last one, women are better decision makers.
I guess the answer will be no for me, because I guess it's not a matter of man over woman or woman over man in this case. I think decision making is a skill that can be trained. Before coming to this video, I was looking at certain news that there are people who up to a certain mature age that we assume them to be cannot make decision. So, and that helped me to, as I think back about how I approached my boys when they were young, they were made to make their own decision. So it's something that you are being trained to make decisions. Another thing about decision making, where I learned from a ex-US Marine, because they have to kill on the spot. And sometimes killing a person is not easy. So for them, how do they overcome that stress to decide that moment whether should they protect themselves or to kill someone to protect themselves? So what I learned from him is that the decision has been made even before the incident happened. So it's an incident that's been rehearsed in their mind, and if it happens in a scenario of A, B, C, and their respective decision will be made according to the scenario A, B, or C. So in that sense, I felt that decision making is something that you are trained.
Okay, interesting. Right, so now we move on to our next segment, right? This is more on talking about your personal experience. So about your personal experience working in the finance industry. For example, I would like to know how the male and female ratio is like, perhaps maybe in your workplace or in your team, for example. Do you feel that in the course of your career so far, you have worked with more males as compared to female?
I don't really see that, but I suppose it depends on which asset classes you are referring to. I would say that equity side, there seems to be more guys. The fixed income side, at one point used to be more lady, but recently I do see a good mix. So I think generally more guys on the equity, more mix in the fixed income.
Why do you think, that there's more men in equity and then more females in fixed income?
I think just because when we're discussing, we have sort of alluded to that guys are like for crypto, new thing, they'll jump into it. Lady will be like, is it real? Can I earn money? Will I make loss? How much can I? So guys can be more risk taking compared to lady. They tend like to do more research before they jump into anything. They like to have their ground covered. They just don't enjoy uncertainty too much.
I didn't expect your answer to be, looking at the different asset classes. That's quite interesting.
That's what I observed, yeah.
How long have you been working in the finance industry?
Wow, that is like almost asking my age.
We can just give an estimate, yeah.
Too much to count. 26 years?
26 years?
Yeah, 26 years.
Wow, that's a really long time.
Yeah.
Was there any particular, maybe you can share, what was your biggest challenge when it doesn't have to be gender related. Your biggest challenge when you're working, in your 26 years of working in the finance industry, what was it?
I guess the biggest challenge is, I always say this to my colleague, you are as good as your last trade. What it means is that this trade may be good, well done, great job, but our requirement as a portfolio manager will never stop there. It will be like, what's next, Joyce? What's next that I can earn? So that constant, you felt at times you are on a constant treadmill that never stops. You just have to keep going. Because as I said in the beginning, everything is new. Every minute, every second is new actually.
So it is your biggest challenge, but it's a challenge that you like.
Enjoy.
Right? Now we have talked about your biggest challenge, which actually, would I even classify it as a challenge if you enjoy it?
It's not a challenge, but you enjoy the challenge.
Okay. Yeah. What was your proudest moment, or your most successful moment in your 26 years?
I won't say it's successful, but something that touched my heart. I think besides just helping my investors to build their wealth, there was one story about these investors into the fund that I manage, and her story was that she was actually planning her estate. Doctor has given her a limit to the time that she may have to pass on, and she was managing her estate, and she purposely placed her fund into the portfolio that I manage. And her reason is that she thinks that this fund is stable. She thinks that she's confident enough that after placing that investment into this fund, it will retain its value and even grow more for whoever she wants to pass the estate to. So I'm certainly very blessed to be able to be part of her estate planning and part of her journey, and that privilege to manage this wealth that she's entrusting to her next generation.
It's like how your work has touched the lives of other people that you feel the most proud of, the kind of impact that you have on the people.
Not sure is the word proud, but just feel privileged and touched with this trust or stewardship.
What has been the greatest investment lesson you have learned?
I suppose there are many lessons, but generally I feel at the end of the day, I feel that every person have their own investment cup. What I mean, like going back to your crypto investment that investment attracted a group of people. That's definitely not for me. Then you also have people who invested in some technology, virtual stuff. That's definitely not for me. For me, I haven't, maybe I've said this, a lot of people will be surprised. I've not even invested in ETF. A lot of people invested in those. And there are other people who make their money from property investment. They do not need us to buy bonds for them, buy equity. They just keep buying property after one another. They make their money. So I feel at the end of the day, everyone has their cup of investment that they feel themselves most comfortable with. For me, my cup will be, of course, fixed income, bonds, and in some parts, equity. So the gist of this idea is that invest in things that you're most familiar with.
So not really knowing where your comfort zone is and not straying too much out of it unless you really do your homework.
Exactly.
Earlier in our interview, right, you mentioned that the economic environment is always changing, and that is something that you actually kind of like in a sense because it gives you a different challenge every day, right? I guess people will actually be kind of daunted by the fact that it's always changing. Any tips or advice for these people who feel discouraged maybe by the current economic environment?
I suppose the best rule of thumb is always stay invested. Precisely, it's always volatile. It is you will be perfect if you're able to time the market correctly, but I suppose most of us are not. So unfortunately, it's best to stay invested while keeping some liquidity. And as now things have recovered, you can realize some of your profit. And now, of course, recently, in the last 1 year or so, I think the most anticipated recession that the investment people have been talking about hasn't come, and they're still expecting it. So, and that's why beginning of the year, people were thinking, there could be some recession, maybe some people want to pull back their fund. But if you look at generally, markets are doing generally well, be it equity, be it fixed income, it has done quite well. So when do you buy, when do you sell? I guess do not dwell too much into it. Just invest in the amount that you do not mind not looking at it for 3 to 6 months and leave it there. And of course, keep a lookout on any opportunity. So try not to time the market. It's not the best thing to do.
Right. So stay invested. Try not to time the market because nobody can actually accurately time the market, right? That actually really nicely concludes our interview today, right? Your advice for investors out there and also your personal experience as a woman in the finance industry, because you have achieved so much in the 26 years that you have.
There's more to come.
Okay, thank you so much, Joyce, for being with us today, and hopefully we see you again in another video.
Sure.
Thank you.